Hello everyone, this is Before the Bell with Dylswrestling presented by Victory Pro. In episode 2 we would have Blake Violet and Tara Gray join us, but today we have their leader, the Inquisitor, Alex Connors. Alex, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, thank you. I'm very busy, but I just managed to squeeze you in, Dylan. Anything for an old friend. So yeah, I'm having a wonderful time. I'm having a very busy time. I've had some very exciting news myself today. So all in all, I'm wonderful. How are you, Dylan?
I am absolutely amazing. I've been very excited to have this interview with you.
Well, thank you.
So obviously we do have Headstrong coming up on the 7th of September in Baggeridge. Obviously you are making a huge debut here. And obviously, it's with such an amazing roster, and you've got a new temple alongside you. Obviously, you and Blake have been together for a little while now, and now you've got Tara as well. But what are your specific intentions and the temple's intentions going into this show?
Look, I think nothing changes with the temple. Whenever we show up, a lot of people will be coming to this show to make a name for themselves and to earn championships and checks, as we often hear on WWE TV. But the temple is never about that. We're about setting a great example, a good example, a righteous example for everybody who shows up to Victory Pro, just like we do in every other promotion. And if anybody's out there setting a bad example, then we might want to try and remove them a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that's a completely fair and moral reason to be a part of Victory Pro.
Thank you.
And on Victory Pro, it was announced very early on. Actually, no, it was probably a little bit later than the rest of the match announcements that you have an open challenge. I
Yeah,
think this is
I knew I was a member of the roster a little bit early on, as did you. But we
yes,
couldn't originally come to terms with exactly who I'd be facing because we really wanted to kick off Victory with with a bang. I'm sure we've all got the best intentions. It's an
of course.
exciting roster, as you've mentioned, but it's not an exciting show until we actually get into it and everyone puts their best performance forward. So I thought, let's not rehash some of the classics. I wrestled a lot around the Midlands, so a lot of people will have seen it. Let's put the word out there and get all these people who want to be on Victory Pro a chance. And it's not just going to be me who decides. In fact, I'm not going to know. Victory Pro have received a lot of messages. I've received a lot of messages. I've forwarded them to Victory Pro, and I'm going to let them pick so I can prove I can defeat anyone, all comers, with the help of the light.
It's a very exciting thing to have an open challenge like that. But is there anyone
Anyone could be there.
specific? Yeah. Is there anyone specifically who you go, I would want to face this person?
Yeah, I mean that there's a list, and I'm sure we could spend the entire hour talking purely about people I'd like to return. But there are some very interesting things that Victory Pro offers that maybe you haven't seen elsewhere. To start with, we've only just started dabbling with it, but Tara Gray is coming from Ireland. This is her UK debut through the Temple of
Yeah.
Light, and she's got a lot of enemies and points to prove back in Ireland who maybe we get our foot in their door, they get their foot in the UK door. There's some really exciting talents like Cian Noonan over there
Oh
who I'd
yeah.
love to wrestle. And recently, in the past 12 months, I've had some really big opponents at Kamikaze, like Simon Miller and Manders, I'd love to get revenge on. But also, there's a lot of people who train under me who I'm sure would like to prove they've learnt their lessons and gotten the better of me. So it would be very interesting to wrestle one of my own students. So yeah, lots of exciting possibilities. I'm not going to know. I'm going to let Victory Pro pick the most exciting match, and it's going to be a shock. It could be anyone. So you've got to be there to find out.
It's going to be crazy. I'm very excited to see who, stepping up to the plate, stepping up to the temple. I'm really excited for that. If we were going to, and whilst we are talking about the temple, there's been a lot of rumours circulating, a lot of, you know, side eyes, a lot of people thinking, what's going on here? Tara Gray joining the Temple of Light. She's never really, as you say, it's her UK debut. And with her UK debut, she's joined the Temple. There's
Yeah,
obviously a lot of
I think
rumours circulating right now, but can you sort of give us a bit of an insight there?
Yeah, I think it was, like you say, probably a bit of a shock. I think the rumours were out there that I would be appearing at Victory Pro and therefore the Temple would be appearing. But we have a solid core. We have myself, Lenny, and Leighton. We have Blake. We have Kiara. So we have a huge roster to choose from. So what a shock for it to be a first time member in Tara Gray. But this is a two-way deal. You see, the Temple exists outside of wrestling. I know people think it's just a persona, a front, but it's actually a building right down the road from here, opposite the Britannia Centre, in Hinckley City Centre. If people know, if you've seen my promos and profile pictures, you'll see they are often actually inside the temple itself. Well, we would love to get our foot in a few international doors. We would like to spread the word in or out of wrestling to a few new countries, and one of them, obviously, next door neighbour, is Ireland. The reverse, Tara Gray, who's doing fantastic things, training really hard over in Ireland, would love to get her foot in the UK door. So she actually approached us and said, "Look, I love the word. I love what you're spreading. It's actually enlightened me." She had a bit more of let's say, a paganistic belief system beforehand. She opened her eyes, we showed her the light, and in return, she managed to get us some space over in Ireland to start spreading our word. So it's a two-way system. She benefits, we benefit. And it's very exciting that we're spreading globally, not just around the UK.
I honestly, I'd never even thought about the temple going overseas, but it's almost as if the temple is becoming almost like an army with the amount of people that will be
Yes,
joining.
I mentioned some exciting news earlier, but the temple won't just stop in Ireland. We've had rumours that there might be a few little temple branches in France coming up. So that
Oh
was my
wow!
exciting news earlier today. We will soon be across all of Europe, and who knows what happens after that.
Honestly, I must say I'm completely flabbergasted right now, and I've always wondered, as someone who wrestles a lot in Wales, is there any potential that you may be getting anyone from Wales involved in the temple at some point?
Have you met the Welsh?
I have met the Welsh. Okay, I'll go on to the next question for that one. As we are talking about the temple obviously has such a rich history, which you are sort of the forefront for. I wanted to ask, sort of like, what was the beginning for the temple? What, and even if, it starts off with you talking about how did you become the Inquisitor, and then how did the temple lead from there on?
Yeah, when I first sort of entered wrestling, like most people, it's tough to find yourself in wrestling. It's tough to find who you want to be while being under the public eye. And I think that wrestling for a long time has really worshipped the wrong values. I know most people who are wrestling fans, broadly speaking, probably not if you're watching this podcast, you're probably quite an intense wrestling fan. But broadly speaking, you might remember the Attitude Era. You probably watched WWE over anything else. And all the personas and the fronts that we get from people who are being themselves, but they're being awful people. Drug addict Jeff Hardy or pimp Godfather, they're always loved, worshipped, and enshrined, while good, noble people who don't drink or need to censor things for the good of society, or even won an Olympic gold medal, they're often booed by the crowd. And I think that the wrestling system for too long has worshipped and valued the worst traits in society. And I wanted to actually bring forth some of the good traits in society. That's why I became the person I am, but not just for me, for everybody. It's really good for wrestling that we have a much cleaner and safer and better image. And this started with the Temple of Light in Full Force Wrestling. Joey Scott, he's been on here
Yeah.
already. This was a small group of people, and probably not who you even think of, because it was Sebastian Winter and Damian Black were in there, but it really took off when Lenny and Leighton joined. We were friends for a long time, but I couldn't get them to really see the vision until suddenly the light clicked and they turned on what they were doing before and realized they were being the bad examples. They became the good examples that they are now, the
Oh,
righteous and noble
oh
examples
God.
that they are now. And also, because we were already such good friends, we became such a unified front that we really took off. And as a unit, we're so in sync that we managed to start appearing in loads of promotions and picking up loads more wins than we ever did individually, which is great news. And I just think that a lot of people these days need to spend their Sundays in church rather than hungover,
I can massively agree with that message.
including maybe you yourself, Dylan. Yeah, maybe you need to spend a few more days in church. I've seen your best friend. He definitely needs to spend a few more days in church and a few less days hungover.
I sadly have to agree, and I hope he's watching and learns his lesson. He's a bad influence. So, this is something I did want to bring up, not just the tempo. I wanted to focus more on you. This past weekend, you have won gold, and I'm aware you are a massive gold collector of sorts. And with Victory Pro,
Thank you.
there's gold on its way. Do you think that you will end
Yes.
up being a top contender for that title?
Uh, I mean, you make a great point about the gold. We are in my wrestling study room here. For those who don't know, every DVD you see behind is a wrestling event. This is not films,
Yeah.
TV. I don't need to get into the dregs of your modern society. This is all tape study, and it goes a long, long, long way, as we can
Yeah,
see. But
that's
also in my
beautiful.
wrestling study, we have a lovely pile of gold
Oh,
right here.
there it is.
So yes, I would love to add to it at Victory Pro. But more importantly, what I'm really excited about is bringing forth this new generation of Temple members. We've seen 4 new members in the past year. How exciting would it be, not only if I can claim a gold, but if the tag titles can go to Temple of Light and Tara picks up her first title, Blake can pick up his first title. He's filled in defending tag titles, but he wasn't there at the start to win them. That would be even more exciting because we're bringing forth a new generation that can take the Temple to new levels.
I completely agree with you. I think Blake and Tara are definitely at the top of their game at the moment, and as well as you, I do see them carrying gold and representing the temple in a much more prestigious way. But when we talk about teams, it's not just the Temple of Light for you. You have another team, and it's with someone who is on Victory Pro in the 21st Century Hero, Luke Douglas. You guys have travelled around, you've fought in amazing matches, and I was just wondering, for my own benefit, is that something that will affect you in Victory Pro?
I think it's quite clear from the history that if Luke had the same vision as the Temple of Light, he would be in the Temple of Light. And as you mentioned, he's not. This is a separate team. It is very interesting that this is the first time the Temple of Light and the Exile Pact would be all on one roster. But
Yeah.
the Temple of Light is a vision. It's an actual driving force. It's a motivation. It's a fervent belief from all of us. Whereas the Exile Pact has always been 2 people who have one goal, who don't need to see the same, who don't need to believe the same values, who just need to beat everyone else. So when you see me and Luke together, as you do at Bridge, at Kamikaze, at Wrestle Carnival,
Yeah.
we are a unified force because we have to win. We need to beat everyone else. We're stronger together. But as soon as that show ends, we have maybe different beliefs, maybe different motivations. Temple of Light is for life. It courses through our veins. It's who we are every second of every day. You can tell by the unification. We all wear the same gear, the same entrance, we have the same music. Whereas the Exile Pact, we look like a little more thrown together, but also because we're just 2 great athletes who work together in the ring. I'm sure we all know stories of team members in any sport who are fantastic physically, they know each other, they can work together, but they don't always see eye to eye on everything. That's me and Luke Douglas. The Temple comes first and always will, but I think Luke will be smart enough to not get in our way.
One of my questions, and you've already answered it before I could ask, was what would be the difference between the Temple of Light and the Exile Pact? But I think you've already described it perfectly. Do you think
Yeah, and
maybe that would
also,
clash in the
like,
future?
while we're on the topic,
Hmm.
sorry to
No, go
interrupt.
ahead, go ahead.
The Exile Pact has always been a, a reaction to us being forced out, to us being underrated, to us being pushed aside. I would say me and Luke Douglas are the backbone of a place like Kamikaze. We wanted to be the forefront of a place like Bridge, and a lot of places don't want their forefront, don't want their face to be me or Luke Douglas because we wrestle a little differently, or we're less clean cut, or we're less exactly who they want to mold. We're not somebody who can be bossed around. So the Exile Pact has always been this rebellious streak of people pushed to the edge. Temple of Light has always been a far more dominant and cohesive force. It's been not so reactionary, more a hammer and an anvil to push into people's faces. And the Exile Pact, on the other hand, has been underdogs. Temple of Light has normally been quite a controlling presence. So it's two totally different vibes. The Exile Pact is a team that has to happen, that needs to happen, that makes us both better. And the Temple of Light is just a unit that all think the same, that all have one goal.
I think a lot of people would really want to know that because we've never really seen you in any other team other than the Temple. So, as much as you and Luke Douglas are such a ruthless force, it's good to get that cleared up.
Yeah, well, it's pushed us to new levels as well. We've got a lot of opportunities as the Exile Pact that I wouldn't have been able to get because Luke Douglas, he's a big name, and he can, match a certain level, and we can go up against bigger and better teams. So it helped push both of us to new levels. But I can take that teaching and I can bring it back. Everything I learned from that experience of teaming with somebody as good, as experienced as Luke Douglas, I'm feeding back to the Temple every chance I get as well.
Yep, that's absolutely awesome. All right, let's go back onto the topic of Victory Pro. Victory Pro obviously has all these top amazing matches that have been lined up, tag matches, multi-man matches, and obviously your normal singles matches. And a lot of people on this roster, you've done the dance with, you've wrestled with, you've been in matches with. Is there any match on this card where you look at and you go, that's a really cool match, and maybe that's something that me as a leader I need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring up two different facets. I'm going to bring up a match, and I'm going to bring up some additions to the roster that excite me. The match that I'm most looking forward to, unfortunately, it's one that's already been brought up, but it is Joey Scott versus Luke Douglas. Luke
Yes.
Douglas, I've teamed with now, and it's, made me a better wrestler, and hopefully the same is true of him. We've elevated our game, and we've faced some of the best teams in the UK, Sunshine Machine, CPF, you name it. Like, me and Luke Douglas have reached the heights that really are the top of this country. Joey Scott, he's one of the three names I would attribute to training me, to making me the wrestler I am today, to teaching me stuff I didn't know. And he's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in this country. And what makes it exciting is they don't cross over. They are two completely different circles. So this is a Victory Pro exclusive match,
Yeah.
which is what makes it so exciting. It's not a match I get to see every other Saturday in Birmingham or Leicester or even down in Wales. It's a match that I'm only going to see in Victory Pro against two people that I respect phenomenally. So I can't wait to see that. So that's my pick for match of the night. But let's do the other side. Who do I think maybe you've not heard of if you're listening to this podcast? I'm very excited for you to see the standard. I think they are excellent. They are probably the best up and comers at their level, as in experience level. They are literally, a year in, literally sometimes months in terms of show experience, and they are already miles ahead of where they should be. So that's really exciting because you probably haven't seen them anywhere else. And they are unified. They have a great athleticism, great look, and they are just truly, I think, packed with potential. But it's unseen potential. So it's very exciting. If you've not been to Victory Pro, you've probably not seen them. And, they've still got to work and make it happen. Otherwise, it will only ever be unseen potential. But that is really exciting. And then, as much as it pains me to say it, you've probably brought two of my favourites up from Wales in King Devler and Prince Palace. I
Yes.
think there's a lot of wrestling in Wales. There's a lot around Cardiff. It's an absolutely packed scene in Wales, as much as it is around Birmingham in the Midlands. But that means that often the Welsh wrestlers don't always get to travel much because they're wrestling a lot in Wales very frequently. These two have a unique look, a unique style, and loads of potential that has also never been seen by an English crowd. So those are some more Victory Pro exclusives that make the show really exciting.
Honestly, I completely agree with you. I think that tag match is going to be absolutely phenomenal as it showcases two different teams that the Black Country have never seen properly before. I am really excited for that, and I am rooting for the Reservoir Dogs. I absolutely love King Devlin and Prince Palace. They're amazing. And as you
Oh,
say,
they are fantastic, packed full of potential, really hard-working, very lovely lads. Can't wait to see them lose because the Standard are even better.
and then obviously, yeah, it's the first time ever match in Luke Douglas taking on Joey Scott. It's one. It's going to be one of probably the match of the night, if not your open challenge, of course, depending on who your competitor is.
Could be anyone. Could
It
be
could.
anyone.
It could be anyone. I did want to bring this one up just quickly because I, I'm very aware you have had a match taking on someone who you may know as Coach Mahon.
I have wrestled Coach Mahon, yeah.
Are you aware of me and his issues?
I saw he hijacked this very podcast last week, as well as a few of the demands he's been making to Victory Pro.
And what would someone like the Inquisitor have to say about the riffraff trying to come in, take opportunities that aren't theirs?
I think from Coach Mahon's perspective, if he's not put on the show yet, then he has nothing to lose. So I don't have any problem with it. You have to make your way any way possible because wrestling is tough. It is hard. It is brutal. Nobody's going to help you out. You've got to do it for yourself. Didn't you try to train to be a wrestler once?
I did indeed. I did indeed.
How did it
And
go?
I didn't go too well.
Did you debut? Have a
No,
match?
no.
No, so I don't think really you have a leg to stand on in the argument. Coach Mahon is doing what has to be done, and he has earned my respect in the matches I've had with him, including for one of these very belts, a no disqualification match that was an absolute war. So from my perspective, you do what you have to. The temple has not been beyond showing up and invading shows when we have to, and if that's
Yeah,
what Coach Mahon has to do, as long as it isn't against the temple, I'm going to stay out of his way.
I think that's a completely valid response. Apart from bringing up
Wrestling
my,
is hard.
apart from my failed wrestling training, that one's gonna, that one hurt. Ooh, yeah, I'm aware. I was
Failed,
told.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, failed.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, yes, I failed. I got told I have the
Which
gift of the gab, but in the ring, it's not going to work. And I've accepted that. And that's why I'm here now in this new opportunity,
that's
which I count as an
that's
absolute
not
blessing.
that's not fair. You don't have the gift of the gab.
Alex, I thought you were going to be polite on this interview. You were going to do better than what Blake was like the other week.
I'm just setting your expectations at a reasonable level.
Fair enough, Inquisitor. Is there anything you would like to say to the Victory Pro crowd? This amazing interview that I've had with you.
I actually would like to put a message out there, not to the Victory Pro crowd, but to the Victory Pro roster, because the Victory Pro crowd has done their part. It's a sold out show, as far as I'm aware. That general admission is gone. I think
It is
front row is
indeed.
gone. They've done their bit. The show's sold out and ready to go.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing: I don't always see eye to eye with you, and I do think you're making some claims that aren't always accurate. But I think the Victory Pro roster has an opportunity to make some of your claims accurate. I've heard you say that this is going to be a historic first show, and I've heard you
Absolutely.
say that we are going to get an incredible roster. And at the moment, that is all just talk. But I actually think you could be right as long as everybody shows up and takes this opportunity with both hands, because we could put on a hell of a show and create a hell of a new opportunity here in the Midlands. So my word is not for the crowd. They've done their bit and they're going to be there. My word is for the roster. Let's give them one of the best shows so that going into the next one and the next one and the next one, the hype for Victory Pro is only going through the roof, and every person who put in their best effort on the first show will live to reap the rewards.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, everybody, this has been Before the Bell, episode 4, with the Inquisitor Alex Connors. You will find this episode on all streaming platforms. And I would say come down to our show on the 7th of September in the Bagger Dome, but unfortunately, we are sold out. But keep your eyes peeled. There will be another show, and it's going to be just as good as the first one. I can definitely assure you of that one. This has been Before the Bell with Dylswrestling, presented by Victory Pro. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody. Good night.
Before the bell with Dylswrestling.